do have a preference for Fords, even though I've sort of got Fords and Chevs and that. But I do have a preference for Fords. My dad was a Ford man. We grew up watching, the Australian touring cars. Watching the Ford versus Hold, and Alan Moffat was a bit of a hero, and Dick Johnson after that. And I mean, these are the sort of cars that they raced, and they're an iconic, really good-looking car.
Mainly all your mechanisms here for your bonnet and your boot all raise up and they go towards the roof, and they will run off a hydraulics here on the side, and the bonnet is the same way too from the bonnet. Will come up towards the roof on the car. Looks very, very sharp. And under here, right under here, mate. We've got our pinstripe continue on through here, around here, over here, around towards the other side of the vehicle. It's 1.5 mil all the way around a green pinstripe, and you cannot feel the edge at all the way around. Absolutely superb.
Early on in the build process, there was thoughts of getting Greg to get involved much sooner, but it was just too hard. I mean, Greg's 4,000 kilometres away from where I live, so while we're building and fabricating the car, it was just too difficult. And my car was never going to be just sign checks and get someone to build it. It was very much a home-built car, obviously apart from the final panel work and the paint. We had some issues with the paint work towards the end of the build, and then that's when Greg stepped in to help out. And it was because the car was basically all fabricated at that time. It was. I'm downplaying it if I say it was just a matter of painting it. It wasn't just a matter of painting it, as Greg will attest. But it was because we weren't doing so much of the fabrication work on the car. It was pretty much done. It just needed the final details finishing off, and a mountain of just fining up the gap work and getting every panel schmicko straight before the colour got applied.
Chris is a bit like Brabham. Brabham built a car and raced at Formula One back a long time ago. Chris has actually built this in his home garage. Like, it's fabricated and everything's been done in the home garage. Even the trimmer flew over from Sydney to work on the car. And then Chris's mates would go and help Chris work on the car. So as they built the car and built the team up, and then I got the phone call about Christmas time. I knew where the car was at. Chris and I would talk at car shows and on the phone. We'd ring each other and catch up. And I got the phone call about Christmas, and he said, look, we really need you to put some paint on this car. And straight away I think, how am I going to get to Perth to paint the car? And Chris goes, no, we're bringing it to you. And I thought, then, they're serious now. Like, if he's prepared to put it in a container and ship it 4,000 kilometres, so it's out of his sight for the first time, right? So this is the first time the car's actually left his sight, where he can't actually put his hands on it. So it arrived to me. I flew over and had a look at the car, and I already knew some of the team that were at Chris's working on the car. I met the other guys, and they're a good bunch of blokes, all having a laugh, and it was good value, So all of a sudden I'm part of their team, and that's all I am. It's just another member on the team. So we organised it, had a look at it, sat down, had a bit of a plan A, and thought we'd put that into the process. The car got to us about February. We had to have the car finished in September to go back to Chris, so the guys had enough time to do the final assembly and finish everything off and get it in the container because the car was on the water for 8 weeks, and you don't want to be late to this show because otherwise it's the whole thing's over. So we got it to us and found a few problems that we needed to rectify, and we redid all the gap work on the whole car, front to back, top to bottom. Yeah, really. And then Chris would fly over and help us out and keep his eye on things and make sure that we were going the right direction where he wanted to go. No, not too many variations, was there?
No.
And then so we just got hooked in, got it pretty much done mostly. Got the car body and the rolling shell back to Chris and a lot of stuff that they needed to assemble. And then we loaded the bonnet and boot and all sorts of stuff into the back of the truck and drove over there and then helped the guys for a couple of days or about a week. Then I flew backwards and forwards to finalise everything before it actually went in the container. I think the final trip was about 2.5 weeks.
Something like that,
Yeah.
It's about a 2010 Ford Boss engine. I'm not sure of the cubic inches on this one. Built to a fairly strong high standard. Running a L supercharger. It's been smoothed out and everything like everything else has been smoothed out. Custom made rocker covers so they look pretty. And it makes around about 670 horsepower on a D-tune. Runs on standard pump gas. And quite mild with a 6-speed manual behind it with a Jag rear end. I don't know if I can tell you much more than that. That's about all I know, other than it's blue.
You're not bad, are you?